Power Rangers Dimension Jumping, Chapter 3, A Cornish Shade of Pink. "You're gonna get yourself killed," exclaimed a young woman wielding a sword as she engaged in combat with a skeleton knight. "Leave him be, sis. He's got this," reassured a slightly older man with a bat, knocking off a skeleton knight's head. Not far from them, two rangers battled against more skeleton knights. One wore a blue suit adorned with a white cross on her Scottish-themed helmet. "Jordan, you're with me on this, right?" called out the young woman. "He usually comes out smelling of roses," replied Jordan. "Yeah, he'll be fine," chimed in another ranger, wearing a green and orange suit with a shamrock emblazoned on her white helmet. "Not you two. Boys! Come on, you must be on my side," the young woman said, pleading to two additional rangers. One donned a white suit and a helmet with a red cross, while the other had a red dragon helmet and a green and white suit. "Not sorry," declared Artie, the English ranger. The Welsh ranger simply shook his head. "What can I say, Sav? My team has my back," a voice came through their communicator. High up in the sky, a red Megazord engaged in a furious battle against a colossus serpent-like Zord. "Just a shame some evil beings can't properly hide their super Zords on the moon," remarked the red Cornish ranger, piloting the red Zord. "What do you expect from Morgana?" replied Artie. The rangers had finished off the last skeleton knight and looked up, watching the intense conflict unfold in the skies. "Sav, whatever happens, I want you to know I love you," said the Cornish ranger. "Wait, what are you going to do?" questioned Sav. "There's only one way to stop her. I call this the Jonah attack," announced the Cornish ranger. "No, Mark, wait, don't!" shouted Sav as she watched the red Megazord soar into the jaws of Serpentera and explode. Many years on from the conflict, the red Cornish ranger, Mark, emerged triumphantly from a swirling portal onto a familiar quay. That was quite a tumble," Mark exclaimed, dusting himself off and surveying his surroundings. "This place looks... I'm home. I'm in Truro. Hold on a moment. Something seems different," he said, approaching a nearby structure called the Hall for Cornwall. Mark noticed a peculiar sight. In his universe, there stood a man pounding on a drum on a globe. But here, a statue of himself as a ranger. "At last, some respect," said Mark, gazing up at his own likeness. Curiously, he reached for his scanning device to check if Nephis, his archenemy, was present in this dimension. Disappointed, he muttered, "She's not here. She's passed by, but she's gone, damn it." Suddenly, an explosion erupted from behind him. Reacting swiftly, Mark drew his morpher as a young woman dashed past him. "Pardon me," she said as she rushed by. Mark followed at a distance. As he approached the commotion, he discovered a very strange sight. "You might as well leave," the girl warned, pointing towards a golden gorilla-like monster. To Mark's astonishment, the girl produced a morpher identical to his own and shouted, "Colonel Bis Vicken!" In an instant, she transformed into the pink Cornish ranger. "What in the world?" said Mark, caught off guard. The pink Cornish ranger engaged in combat, showcasing skills not unlike Mark's. However, the monstrous foe started gaining ground.
"Cornish Ranger, prepare to meet your doom,"
the monster taunted, wielding its mighty axe as the pink ranger struggled on the ground. Taking action, Mark activated his morpher, crying out, "Colonel Besviken!" With blazing speed, he rushed towards the monster and deflected the axe with a single swing of his sword. "What the Pink Cornish Ranger uttered in astonishment. "Back off, monkey nuts," said Mark, delivering a powerful kick to the monster, sending it hurtling through the air.
How is this possible? I'll return.
The defeated creature growled before vanishing into thin air. Turning his attention to the Pink Ranger, who got up and said, "Who on earth are you, and how dare you wear my father's suit?" poking Mark's chest with anger. "Hold your horses, let me explain." Mark removed his helmet, causing the Pink Ranger to gasp in disbelief and step back. "I'm Mark, and I'm from another universe," he revealed. The Pink Ranger powered down and gazed at Mark with wide eyes. "Dad?" They ventured into a bustling cafe, a well-known spot in both universes. Both of them ordered a latte with 2 sugars. "All right, let me get this straight," Minnie began. "You're from a different Earth." "Yep. And in this universe, or rather, him," Mark pointed at a picture of the statue he had encountered earlier, "is your dad. So, who's your mum?" "Sav Jenk," said Minnie. Mark smiled at the mention of her name. Nice to know it worked out somewhere. "In my universe, I was with a girl named Sav. We tried for a child, but she miscarried and never really recovered from what happened. We still talk, but my life changed dramatically when I became a ranger," said Mark. "In this reality, my parents had me about 9 months after the Battle of Serpentera," said Minnie. "The Battle of what?" Mark said in shock. "Morgana found Lord Zed's old Zord on the moon and launched an attack on Cornwall. The Royal Britannia Rangers, along with my mum and uncle, fought against her. My mum said she could have killed Dad on that day because he flew his Zord." "Hold on, I had a Zord here?" "Cool," said Mark, interrupting Minnie. "Yeah, well, he flew it right into the Zord's mouth and then blew it up. Mum thought he'd died, but the next second he landed in front of them like some kind of superhero. After that, they disbanded until a few months ago when they got back together and," said Minnie with tears in her eyes, "I'm so sorry. In my universe, my team was killed by Nephus. That's why I jumped dimensions. I'm chasing her and trying to stop her. So far, I've been a step behind her," Mark explained, and they sat in complete silence, sipping their coffees. "Maybe Mum can help. She used to be part of a trans-dimensional team. She might be able to help us track her down," Minnie suggested. Mark nodded, unsure of how he felt about meeting a woman who resembled his partner in another universe. "I understand different dimensions better than my daughter, but it didn't prepare me for this," Sav exclaimed once the shock of her daughter bringing home her deceased husband had worn off. "You look and sound just like him," she added. "I know, and all I can say is sorry," Mark replied. "No, it's good to know he's out there. You may not be him, but you embody all he was, just as Minnie does. Even if I don't want her to be a ranger," Sav acknowledged. "Mum," Minnie chimed in. Mark chuckled and passed Sav his dimension jumper. This looks like a standard D jumper. Haven't seen one in years. Is it sending information back to a central computer?" she said. "I believe so, yes," Mark confirmed. "In that case, they're probably gathering data on your travels. It may take time, but you'll start to catch up. It's a hit-and-miss method, but the multiverse is more random than people think," Sav explained. "So, I'm looking for a needle in a haystack," Mark remarked. "Yeah, but with a magnet that's getting stronger all the time. You'll find her, I have no doubt," Sav reassured. On the television, a news report began to broadcast. Breaking news, a gorilla-like monster in gold armour is attacking Cornwall's main hospital, the news anchor announced. They all turned their attention to the TV. You two should go, Sav suggested. Are you sure, Mum? Minnie asked. Yes, Savannah's voice cracked a little. With your father here, you can stop him. But I'm not, Mark began. You are too. He'd want it that way, Sav interrupted. Also, I'm coming with you, to help the patients out. After all, I used to work there. Really? In my universe, it was me. Funny, Mark remarked. Yeah. One last thing. Could I see you two morph? Sav asked. Mark smiled, looked at his daughter from another dimension. They both pulled out their morphers and cried out, Colonel Vicken! Quick, get the patients to safety, shouted the nurse, her voice full of determination. The monster fired on the civilians as the nurses tried to take patients to safety. With lightning reflexes, Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, deflected the attack with a swing of his sword. The crowd gasped in awe as Minnie and Mark, the two Cornish Rangers, appeared out of nowhere. I totally had that. I was going to shoot it with my bow, said Minnie. Mark grinned beneath his helmet. I know, but I wanted to do it my way. It's cooler. Shaking her head in disbelief, Minnie replied, You're so lame. Ignoring the banter, they focused on their mission. Let's take him out, Mark declared. Together, the Cornish Rangers charged at the monstrous foe, landing powerful blows and pushing him away from the innocent bystanders. The crowds erupted in cheers as they watched their heroes fight.
You cannot stop me,
the monster exclaimed, stumbling around. You want a piece of this? Mark challenged. Mind if we do it together? Minnie interjected. Sounds good to me. Ready? Mark responded, and they both leapt into the air. Minnie activated her morpher, summoning her own power sword, Mark and her father's favourite weapon. Charging their swords with energy, they brought them down.
No!
The monster exploded, leaving the crowd cheering. They approached the Cornish Rangers, still in awe of witnessing a fallen ranger come back from the dead, but relieved that the threat was vanquished. Many hours later, Mark, Minnie and Sav stood in the family backyard, preparing to bid farewell to Mark. Here, Mark, take these dimension tags. You can use them to call Minnie if you ever need help, and vice versa, Sav explained, handing him a set of small disc-like devices. Thank you, both of you. Mark would be proud of you both, Mark replied, opening a portal. Good luck, Dad, Minnie said, smiling. Mark returned the smile and stepped into the portal, which closed behind him. He really was like your father, Sav remarked. Yeah, he is, Minnie agreed. In the distance, an explosion could be heard. They exchanged a glance and Sav declared, Go, go. It's morphin' time. Guest starring Acrown 39 as the Monster.